you want to get into oil painting but don't know where to start and are struggling to find any good information on how to start, this video is perfect for you and I recommend you keep watching because I will go over all of the basic materials and the basic techniques to get into oil painting. So let's start right off the bat with the materials. The materials are things that you'd probably expect from, painting, like the paints and the brushes, but there's a bit more nuance to it than usual. So let's start with something simpler, like the palette. The palette can be any material, except I've heard that it's harder to clean the oil paint off plastic ones, so maybe avoid those and go for something like wood, ceramic, or glass. Now for the paints, there are 3 grades, typically: student, artist, and professional, all ranging in the quality in the order that I just said, in quality and in price. Now, which ones as a beginner should you buy? That's a good question, and it depends on what you're planning to do and how many, different types of colors you want. If you're going for just a few colors, like 4 or 5, it's okay, you can spend some money and get the artist grade. I don't recommend professional grade for now. And then if you're getting a bunch of different colors, you should probably go for student grade to just save some money. That's it for the paints for now. I'll give some more tips about them later, so stay tuned for that. But for now, let's talk about brushes. It's really not that complicated. You can just order some online, or if you have any brushes lying around. You only need 1 or 2. They should just be like decently small size, depending on what you want to do. Portraits are usually smaller size, landscapes could be a bit bigger. Again, depends. And there are 2 liquids that you need when oil painting. Let's talk about them. There are typically 2 types of liquids/solutions that artists use when oil painting. One of them is a paint thinner. You can see that in the completely vertical bottle, and the one in the slightly more curved one is called a medium. What the medium does, it just makes the oil paint a little easier to handle. Sometimes it's a bit stiff out of the tube, and also mediums will change the drying times. For example, I'm using something called linseed oil. There's other different types of oil that will make it dry faster, but mine makes it dry slower. And for me, that's a better thing because I like to maybe leave for a few hours, come back, and then edit my painting. So for me, that's a plus. Maybe for somebody else, they want it to dry faster, so they'll get something like alkyd or like some other type of oil. You could do your own research on this. Once you know what you're looking for, it's not that complicated. The thinner, it obviously thins your paint. Don't try to breathe it in because it's kind of nasty. It will give you a headache, and if you inhale it for years and years, you'll probably get some health problems. So just keep that in mind. Now, really quickly, what surfaces you should use. You can get pre-stretched canvases for very cheap, or you could just use thicker paper that's geared for acrylic, or just glue 2 pieces of paper together to get a nice thick surface. And one last thing before we actually begin the painting process, you need some gesso. What gesso is, it is just white acrylic, or doesn't matter the color, whatever you want your background to be. For me, it's almost always white. So yeah, it's just white acrylic paint, which is really cheap and easy to get. You just smear it on your paper, do that 2, 3, 4 times, and then let it dry for an hour or 2. Some people recommend up to a day. I think that's a bit too excessive. And what this does, it just provides a nice barrier against the oils so that they won't seep into the actual paper and eat away at it. All right, we have the palette to work on, we have the brushes, we have the paints, we have all the liquids that we need, and also just have some decently sturdy paper towels just to wipe your brushes on. Let's get to a very short, nice little demo where I will explain the most basic techniques and just how to handle the oil paint. Now let's start off with, where do I know where to place all the sort of components of my painting? I often paint without a sketch, but I kind of do sketch in a way. I don't sketch with any pencils beforehand, but what I do is I get a little bit of this mess of paint. It's black, it's a very dark skin tone of red, yellow, and black, very faintly, a very small amount of it. And then I very faintly lay out some of the details, where the eyes are going to be, where the nose is, where the beard is. And the thing is, this does not have to be accurate. Even if I mess it up and I have a random streak of paint that's 20 inches off from where his face is supposed to be or something, it doesn't really matter because the background is going to be there either way. And it's all going to be super faint because, you can see how faint this paint is. So that is incredibly useful because you can't erase oil painting, right? But by using this technique, using fainter colors to sort of get a nice sketch going, you will A, know what to do later because you have a sort of sketch of sorts, and B, if you make a mistake, it's really easy to hide, or it's not even noticeable in the first place. This makes any painting a lot easier because you can plan everything out with this very easy to fix if you mess up method. And after I get this very basic sketch in, I will go and see where the darkest areas are, and I will apply some like actual thicker dark paint. It is pretty dark right now, but I'll add some like actual pure black or something for the eyes or something like that. And then I go lighter and lighter, further from the darkest areas. I start in the cheekbone areas, right underneath the eyes, in the nose area, in the lip, in the beard area. And then I slowly go around the face and I go lighter and lighter and lighter. And this will work for anything, not just the human face, but when you sort of couple this with the sketching, and then you just go bit by bit from the darkest areas. This makes what seems to be quite daunting to be to paint without a graphite sketch to a very manageable and easy and fun task. So that is it for the basics of the technique. To really briefly go back to the paints, you only need 4 paints for this. If you're doing portraiture, you only need black, red, yellow, white, and everything else is just a mix of these. You could also get blue just to spice things up if you need it, if somebody has blue eyes. So that's a nifty way to save money and to know what colors you need. That aside, that is pretty much it for this video. I'm already going a little bit longer than usual. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in around a week.